This video is about what happens right after someone reaches out to your business. Let's say they see your ad online, they fill out your form, or they send you a message, and now what you do next is actually what decides whether or not they become a paying customer or paying client. So for most businesses, that person typically will wait an hour or even more to hear back. It could be up to a full day, or they just never hear back at all. So that is where customers are getting lost. And it's not necessarily in getting the right people to reach out to you. It's in those first few minutes after somebody reaches out. So here's the thing, just to set the scene here. If most of your business is coming from referrals and from word of mouth, these are people who already know you or have already been sent your way by somebody that they trust. This is going to be a little bit different of an approach and a different skill set, because when you're talking to somebody who already knows your reputation, it's a completely different conversation than talking to someone who just found you online and has never heard of you before. So again, this is going to require a little bit different of a skill set, and that's exactly what we're going to break down in this video. So both of those types of clients are good. And remember, the referrals will always be some of the best customers you get. But if you want to keep growing past the size of your own network, you have to get good at this second type of skill set. And growth just means reaching people who do not know you yet. And that, again, that is going to take a different approach than the one that you've already been implementing right now. So that's the whole reason that I put this together. We're going to show you exactly how to handle the people who are coming in from your ads and your social media so that they turn into paying customers instead of slipping away. So if people are already reaching out to you and you know some of them are slipping through the cracks, this is exactly how we can fix that. So speed to lead is the very first thing here. If you've never heard of that, all that means is that the single biggest thing you can do is to call them back fast. So not by the end of the day, not even within the next hour. If you can ideally call these people within the first 60 seconds or even the first 5 minutes of them inquiring about your services, honestly, while they still have their phone in their hand, the research just states all the facts right here. So you're about 100 times more likely to reach somebody if you call them within the first 5 minutes instead of waiting 30 or even 60 minutes. So imagine that, 100 times more likely to reach somebody if you're proactive and you just pick up the phone as soon as they submit their information. This is amazing. It's literally so easy to win, because if you're just faster than everybody else and you have systems in place to facilitate actually calling these people right away, you're 100 times more likely to actually reach them. So not even just that, but you're about 21 times more likely to actually have a real conversation that goes somewhere when you're actually calling them within the first 5 minutes. Now, all of these other stats here are just reiterating the fact that the faster you can actually get a hold of somebody, you're just capitalizing on their intent. Right? If a person is scrolling on their phone and they're looking for different services and they're filling out some sort of information to learn more, if you can capture them right at the moment where that's so fresh on their mind and their phone is literally still in their hand, the chances of you seeing success and actually facilitating them through your processes is going to be infinitely higher. So I show you all these numbers, just understand that it's all about getting back to people right away, because keep in mind, these people are probably reaching out to 2 or 3 or 4 or even more service providers in your area. So literally the first one who gets back to them will tell them internally, okay, I can stop looking now. I found somebody who can potentially help me. So again, the bar is low here because these are the stats, right? Majority of people, instead of letting them sit, right, and reaching them within the first hour, it's going to make you 7 times more likely to even have a conversation with them at all, right? This is from the Harvard Business Review, right? You can fact check this online. Meanwhile, right here, the average business takes almost 2 full days to respond, and about 1 in 4 are never responding at all. So hopefully you're understanding the picture here, right? The bar is low, and simply being fast, excuse me, simply being fast is what's going to put you ahead of almost everyone in your market. So like I had said here, it's really just about capturing their motivation at the peak. So as soon as they submit, if you can get back to them, your chances of success are way, way higher. Now, this also solves something that you probably run into already. Let's say that you finally do call somebody back and then they immediately tell you, oh, I don't remember reaching out, or I don't know who this is. I never filled anything out. Oftentimes, it's not a bad customer. It's just almost always a slow call back, because keep in mind, like, everybody has a life, right? If they filled out a form online and they don't hear back within the first 5 minutes, they probably got distracted by something else, or they went and walked the dog, or they went and walked their pet goldfish, right? Like, they had other things come up, so they had to go away and they completely forget about what they had done. So if you just call them back within 60 seconds of them filling out your form, they're going to know exactly who you are. They're going to know exactly what they want because it's right there in front of them. So here's kind of a bit of a framework to follow when it comes to actually facilitating reaching out to people right away. So right here, we want to call more than once and we want to call back to back. So if you've ever heard of the term double dialing or double calling, this is essentially breaking that down. So a lot of businesses will call one time, they'll let it go to voicemail, and then they'll just stop right there. That is exactly what we do not want to do. And here's what I would recommend instead. We're going to call once initially, and we're going to let it ring all the way through. If they do not pick up, we're not going to leave a voicemail. We're going to hang up before it goes to voicemail, and then we're going to call them right back. So just keep in mind, 2 calls back to back is going to tell them that this is probably important. And people will almost always answer that second call if they ignored the first one. I always try to put myself in the customer's shoes. Like if I was somebody who was getting a call from a random number, I would almost always just let it ring. But then if it stops and they call right back immediately right after without leaving a voicemail, I'm going to start questioning of like, oh man, maybe this is pretty important. Like they just called me back right away, right? So think about your own phone, right? 1 call from a number you don't know is easy to ignore, but 2 in a row is actually going to make you look and consider. Now, a second part to this is that text message works great as well because some people would rather some people would rather text than talk. Some people would also rather talk than text. So that's the advantage of double dialing first. But if you do call and you don't reach them, you can send them a short text right after. And a lot of the time you will hear back faster than you would by calling that third time. And this can be very simple. This is just a basic templated example here. So something like, hey, Mike, this is Nick with Riz Media Company. I just tried giving you a quick call about your project. When would be a good time to connect for a couple minutes to see if I can help? Right? Very basic, very standard. You're just informing this person of who you are, why you're calling them, and what is actually in it for them, right? Like these are all questions that I would have in the back of my mind, especially if someone were to pick up the phone and just call me. I'd be like, first of all, who are you? Like, why are you calling me? How do you have my phone number? And what do you want? So what we can do is just answer all of those questions right away immediately. And what you'll find is that oftentimes we'll diffuse the person and lower their defenses to where they get all their questions answered, and now they can just have an open and honest conversation with you. So hopefully this is helpful when it comes to implementing the calls and the text initially. Also a quick follow-up rhythm or cadence here that we found to be very, very beneficial. Now, 1 call usually is not where you stop, right? If you do not reach someone on the first try, you don't want to stop after 1 or 2 attempts because most of the people that you're going to end up doing business with are going to take several attempts to reach. And again, some facts here, about 95% of customers that you eventually win are oftentimes reached by the 6th attempt or even more. So we have to almost adjust our expectations here of instead of trying to reach out to a person 1 time and just assuming, oh, this is not a good lead or this is not a good client, we should make our barrier, our minimum, bare minimum, 6 or 7 attempts, right? Like that should be the bare minimum of like, oh, I don't even expect to hear back from this person until I've tried to reach out at least 5 or 6 or even 7 times. And now again, right here, 44% of businesses, they just give up after 1 time. So again, if we want to be that top 1% and we want to differentiate from all the competition, we just need to be faster and we need to follow up more. And oftentimes if we follow up faster first, we don't have to follow up more because if we follow up faster, people will actually get back to us right away. So that gap here is the opportunity. It's a very simple rhythm that you can run for every new person. And we're going to treat each attempt as a double call, meaning 2 rings back to back. So again, very basic cadence here. On the very first day, we're just going to call them right away. So as soon as they fill out that information and submit it to you, within 5 minutes, ideally, we're going to double dial them back to back. And if we don't get an answer, we're going to send the first text message. Now, this is all within the first day. If you look at these first three points here, right? So later on in that day, again, this is assuming you have not heard back from this person. We're going to call again during whatever time they said was best to reach them. And we're already going to know this from the application that we had them fill out. And we're going to double dial them at that time of day again. Now, at the end of the day, if we still haven't heard back from them, this is when we can shoot them a short email. And I'll show you a template down below for what that email actually looks like. Now, moving on for the rest of the day 2 through 10 cadence, very simple, right? Very similar as well. So we're calling once at a different time of the day than we tried before. And we're texting again if we don't get an answer. Day 3, we're going to call once, and that's when we can actually leave that first voicemail, and then we're going to follow it up with a text as well. Day 5, again, similar. We're just trying different times of day, and we're trying different modes to actually reach these people. Now, like it says here, if you do reach them at any point in time, we're just going to stop that cadence and just have the real conversation with them. Because in the back of our mind, that should always be the goal of we're just trying to reach out to these people because they have expressed to us that they need some sort of help. So it's our job to actually facilitate getting a hold of them and being able to see if we can help them or not. So like I had mentioned already, we're just going to be mixing up the time of day so that we're not always catching them at the same bad moment, right? So we want to increase our chances of actually getting a hold of these people. So this is something we could keep track of in our Slack channel or in our CRM of keeping notes of all the touch points that we've made. So again, let's say on day one, we're calling within those first 5 minutes, and then later that day, we're calling during whatever time said was best to reach them. We should just leave a note each and every time that we call this specific person and say, hey, tried to call on this day, this time, no answer. And then again, tried to call on this day, this time, no answer. So now the next time we go back to call, we can just look at the history and say, okay, we've already tried 2 or 3 times at this specific time to call and we didn't get an answer. Let's try a different time of day. You see what I mean? So we can keep track of this and just be able to be proactive with how we actually get a hold of people. So moving on here, what to actually say on that call. This is actually very simple, very straightforward. I always keep this in mind. The goal of the call is not to sell anything. That is literally not the job of this call at all. It's not to convince anyone of anything. The only goal is just to get them to take the next step. So that is true at every single stage of your process. We're never trying to get somebody to just jump across the entire gap all at once. All we're doing is just getting them to take one small next step. So on this call, that next step is just setting a time for another consultation or the next step in your process. So past that, we're going to keep this very simple. We really just want to remember to be a real person, and we want to remind them why they actually reached out to us first in the first place. And then we're going to set up that next step. So before you ever pick up the phone and dial their phone number, we're going to have all their information in front of you. Because again, we're going to have all of their application questions directly in the Slack channel. So that all you have to do is pull that up and be able to access their information. So we don't want to be scrambling to find all this. We're not going to be fumbling to find out what's their name, what's their email, why did they reach out now? We have everything all right in front of us so that by the time that they pick up, they're already wondering who you are, like we talked about, right? They want to know, what do you want? Like, how did you get their number in the first place? So literally our goal, as soon as we pick up that phone, the very first words out of our mouth, we want to basically be answering all of those questions right away. And the key here is the tone behind how we're doing that. So we always want to just be relaxed and curious, right? We don't want to be too pushy. We don't want to be too overly energetic or sound like a salesperson. Because again, we want to keep in mind the state of mind that the person on the other phone is in when a random phone number is calling them. And the easiest way that I found to do this is just put myself in their shoes, right? If I pick up a phone call from a number I don't recognize, I am immediately wondering, who is this person? What do they want from me? And how did they get my phone number, right? That's already in the back of every single person's mind. So why not just answer the phone and then answer all of those questions for them right up front? So for example here, this is a perfect way that I love to do this, right? We're just going to start by saying their name, just like a question, right? So the phone's ringing, right? I'm sitting here, it's dialing, they answer the phone, right? The very first words out of my name, the very first words out of my mouth are going to be their name. So let's say Mike. Right? Just let them answer. It's warm and it gets them talking, right? You can see what it says here. Then we're just going to tell them who we are and why we're calling. So Mike, he's going to say, yeah, what? Hello? Who is this? Oh, hey, Mike, this is Nick over at XYZ company. I saw that you reached out about potentially a kitchen remodel, and I just wanted to get right back to you right away. And again, the tone in this is so important, right? We're curious. We're not sounding like every other salesperson that they've talked to or every other person who picks up the phone and is just like, hey, Mike, this is blah, blah, blah. Like, how's it going, man? Meanwhile, again, in the back of Mike's mind, he's thinking, who is this person? Why do they have my phone number? So we're going to take a different approach here of just calm and curious, right? So again, hey, Mike, this is Dave over at Coastal Renovations. I just had seen that maybe you had reached out about a potential kitchen remodel, and I just wanted to make sure to get back to you right away, right? So we're not going to be asking any questions in terms of, hey, is now a good time? Do you have a quick minute? Because again, the reflex that most people will have is they're just going to say no because they don't know who you are, right? They don't know why you're calling. So we just want to assume, right? Assume that we already know who this person is. We're assuming that they already need our help. And us just going into the conversation with that underlying assumption is going to make that person feel way more at ease and actually open to talking to us. So again, once we ask that question, we're going to move right down here to number 3. We're going to see if it rings a bell, and then we're just going to put their own words right back in front of them. So we always want to acknowledge them, right? So let's pick it back up from, hey, I just wanted to make sure that I got back to you right away, right? And then they're going to say something, right? Whatever they're going to say. Yeah, now's a good time, whatever. Like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe that sounds familiar. Got it. Totally understand, Mike, right? It looks like maybe you've actually been thinking about this for a couple months now. Does that kind of ring a bell? Does that sound right? Again, the curious tone, right? And then the key here is we just want to let them talk. So we're going to say this line here. We're going to keep it short and sweet, and we're going to let them talk, right? Because we're the one who called them back fast right away. And of course, it's almost always going to ring a bell. So the whole thing here is that we have all this information from their application. We know exactly why they're reaching out. We know exactly how long they've been wondering or struggling to kind of get help with this situation. So our whole thing is we just want to be curious, and we want to let them almost repeat that information back to us. So after we ask that question, right, it looks like you've been thinking about this for maybe a couple months now. I'm curious, does that sound right? Does that ring a bell to you? Next, we're going right into this. Ask one real question, then listen. Yeah, man. Oh, totally understand, man. Yeah, I know it's been a long time, right? A couple months can be a really long time. And look, honestly, I'm not even sure that we could even help you yet. But honestly, just so I could really help point you in the right direction, what would you say is going on with the kitchen now that had you potentially interested in maybe even just reaching out? Right? This is the most important moment here. We want to stay quiet, and we want to let them tell you. Now, keep in mind, chances are we already have this information. We have this answer from them on the application, but we just want to put this back in front of them and let them be able to talk and explain it back to us. Because again, even though we have the answer already internally, we know why they're reaching out, just allowing them to kind of relive that and rethink it through their mind and repeat it back to us, we're putting them into that state of mind of like, oh man, yeah, that's right. Like I've been waiting on this for a couple months now. I've been really thinking about it. I just haven't had the time to get to it. And honestly, like, I mean, what's been going on with the kitchen now is like, we've been having tons of family and friends over lately, and it's just super dated. All of our friends just got their kitchens redone, and everyone's got the newest and latest and greatest. And it's just been something that's been on our mind, but we just haven't been able to get to it. Right? See how much information we're able to get out of this person to be able to actually help them solve this problem. So that's the whole goal here, right? So the last part of this is we're just going to set up the next step with two options. So this is huge. We're going to acknowledge everything they said, right? And then we're just going to make the offer for the next step. So right here, got it, man. Totally understand, Mike. That's actually super, super common. That's actually comes up a ton with a lot of the clients that we already talked to right now. And honestly, just based on what you had said, I'd say the best next step at this point is to just get you on a schedule for a quick consultation, right? We just want to be able to kind of walk you through exactly what the next steps would look like. And again, just see if we'd even be able to help. So for you, Mike, would you say like earlier in the week or maybe later in the week typically works better? Right? We're giving him two options. He's going to say, oh yeah, man, awesome. That sounds great. I'd say later in the week's probably better. Perfect. Awesome, Mike. Let me pull up the schedule here. Would the morning or the afternoon typically work better for you? Again, we're giving them two options, right? We're taking that thought out of their mind to where they have to stop and think and look at their calendar. We're just presenting them with two options right out the gate. Then lastly, oh, perfect, man. I got the schedule right up here right now for next Thursday, which is later next week in the afternoon, like you had mentioned. It looks like we got a 2 or a 3 p.m. open. Which one would be better for you? There you go. Now you got the appointment booked, right? This whole thing here, like I had said, two options is always better than one. It's just proactive, right? It's less thinking for them. And again, if they automatically say no to the first option, they already have a second option now, right? So we're offering two, we're making it easy to say yes. Now, moving on here, when they do not remember reaching out, and again, this will happen from time to time, especially if any time has passed. So if we're not reaching out to these leads or these clients who are inquiring within the first 5 or even 30 minutes of them submitting that information, oftentimes you're going to call them and they're going to tell you, I don't remember filling anything out, right? I don't know who you are. Like, why are you calling me? Honestly, this is not a bad sign, and it's not a reason to just hang up and stop. We just want to go in already assuming that they may not remember who you are, so it's never going to throw you off. So again, we just want to go into this. When we pick up that phone, we're going to say, oh yeah, this person already has no clue who I already am. And chances are, like, I'm already 99% certain they're going to pick up that phone and just say, oh yeah, I don't remember filling anything out. Like, why are you calling me? I don't even know who you are. And us going into that, expecting them to say that, is going to make sure that we're prepared and actually able to overcome this in a very confident and calm way. So all we're going to say is, again, we're going to acknowledge them. we're going to be like, oh yeah, man, no, I totally understand. It's not a problem at all. That's actually really common with a lot of our customers now. And it's actually exactly why I'm calling right now. So instead of getting stopped there and being like, oh, you're right. Like, yeah, now's not a good time. We'll just call you back later. We want to almost turn it back around and say, honestly, that's exactly why I'm calling right now, is because you don't remember filling anything out, right? We're just flipping it back on them, and now we're right back into the conversation. So yeah, once we have addressed that already and told them, yeah, totally understand, not a problem. It's super common, and that's actually why I'm calling. So yeah, what would you say is going on that maybe had you interested in reaching out in the first place? We're just trying to get them right back into that way of thinking, right, of why they had reached out originally. So again, this can be avoided if we are reaching out within the first 60 seconds to 5 minutes. But again, if for whatever reason we're not able to do that, this is a great way to kind of recover that and still be able to get back into the conversation. So the last couple things here are just some text and voicemails that you can actually copy. So these would be some examples here. And again, just make sure to swap out your own name, your own company name, or your own name, I'm sorry, and then the actual name of your company as well. And again, they're just segmented in terms of like the first text, the email after the first day, the voicemail that you leave, and then the final text at the end there. So feel free, you can use these, you can copy and paste these. I most likely will put a link to this entire document down below in the description of this video. So if you want to be able to copy and paste in there, just shoot me a DM or a message on Instagram if you don't see this link there, and I'll send it to you. So lastly here at the bottom, the bigger picture, one thing that we want to keep in mind the whole way through is that nobody reaches out for no reason, right? And the analogy I always use is a doctor, because it's the same way that nobody's going to book a consultation or a visit to the doctor unless something is bothering them, right? Unless something is in pain, if something is hurting, the person who is totally fine and is totally great oftentimes is not going to book an appointment with the doctor. The whole reason that they are even inclined to book that appointment is because something is bothering them, right? Something is off. So we need to have that underlying assumption of we're almost the doctor in this instance, right? It's our job to facilitate and help these people who are actually reaching out and raising their hand and telling us that, hey, something's off now. Like I have a problem that's going on right now. It's our job to be able to facilitate and help these people. So every person who fills out your form has something that they want handled or something that they want help with. Our job is just to ask the right questions. We want to follow up while it still matters to them. So speed to lead, again, is very, very important. And we actually want to get on the phone so that we can help them get what they came for. Now, that is essentially all this is. We're just being the first one who actually responds and reaches out to these people, because oftentimes the best business should always be the one that answers first, right? And in most towns, those are two different businesses. And the gap right there is literally the whole opportunity here. If we're just the first one to respond and get back to people who are inquiring, we already went through all the stats of how much more successful we're going to be just by doing that alone. So if this is something that you would rather have all of this built and handled for so that you never have to miss those first few minutes again, that is exactly what we do. I'll also leave a link down below in the description to that. So go ahead and click that if you're interested. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I hope this helps.